consequences of that in it. And he had a box that had all of his goodness and all the consequences of it in it. And he exchanged it. He says, all that's yours is mine, and all that's mine is yours. Here, have my abundance. Okay. Now, he restored this kingdom of abundance. Now there's some difficulties. You may ask, well, if it's this kingdom of abundance, what about the difficulties? There's a lot of difficulties in the world, in my life. How do we process difficulties? And this is very interesting. I was reading the book of Judges recently. That's where I am in my morning reading, and it's very interesting because when God was giving the nation Israel the promised land, their inheritance, he said they after victories over these nations that had been doing so much, said, hey, I'm going to take this kingdom from them to you. But he didn't give them total victory. He said, I'm going to leave some of these problems, some of these enemies, leave a few of them to test your children and see if they'll follow me, if they'll trust me, if they'll love me and my love, or if they'll try to do it their own way. He always gives a choice. He always gives a choice. And during the trials, during the difficulties, he promises magnificence. He promises that for the people that overcome after they've suffered a little bit, if they continue looking for him, continue praying to him, that he will settle them, establish them, perfect them, strengthen them. These are great promises. And we get it forever. You go, oh, wow, I endured the trial. Yeah, it was a test. I could have gone and my way, tried to figure it out, tried to depend on somebody. But no, I looked to you and I said, hey, even in this trial, I know you've got the solution and I know you're going to bring about the answer at the exact right time. And so many people who have continued to persevere in adversity and difficulty and trial, they end up getting blessing and abundance. And here's the thing, they get it forever. Other people might do it their way. They might get something for a minute. You know, look at the lottery winners, many of them. Yeah, everybody wants to win the lottery, right? Wouldn't that many of them? They've never developed and become the people they need to be to know how to do what should be done with what they win, and they end up losing it. They have all these family conflicts. It's just a mess. So God always develops first through faith. Faith in him, faith in his goodness, closeness to him. And then he becomes free, elevate us, promote us to gifts, because he knows we're going to stick close things with him, right? So that's one on the trials. There's an interesting passage here about David, King David. If you remember, you might remember he was on the roof of his palace one time and he saw this beautiful woman bathing named Bathsheba. Well, that was a problem, and to make matters worse, she was married. So what does he do? He puts her husband, Uriah, in one of the hottest battle, in the front line of the hottest battle, and gets him killed so he can go take Bathsheba. Bad decision. Hey, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do what I think's best. I'm going to do what I think's going to be great for me. It wasn't so great. God told him, he said, because you've done this thing, this is never going to leave your house. You're always going to have violence and bloodshed in your house, even though I love you. And God restores him, but there's still consequences of what he did, right? And we all, I think it was Robert Louis Stevenson that said, sooner or later, everyone sits down to a banquet of consequences. Now, Jesus takes those at the cross and he begins to restore us to his heart and his kingdom of abundance. But when God speaks to David about this wrong through a named Nathan, he tells him this, he says, I also gave you your house and your master's wives into your care. And I gave you the house of Israel and Judah. He gave him these kingdoms. He gave him this. He said, and if that had been too little, I would have given you many as well. I want to give you much more. God's heart is to give us much more, to give us this kingdom. But he wants us to trust and stick with him and let him do what he wants to do through it. Do the right things. Join with him. Partner with him. And do him what he wants to do. And open the doors to abundance for us. But if we go off on our own and do the wrong things and mistreat other people and distrust, like David did in this situation, it's not going to go so well. He'll restore us, but there's always going to be some consequences in our lives, right? Okay, so here's the right response. Let me tell you what the right response is, and we'll close with this. So the right response is when we come to a trial, what should our response to God be? Okay, I'm at the end of my resources. I have no idea what to think, and I have all this need. It might be a financial, it might be relational, it might be vocational, it might be whatever. I have this need. What's the right response? Well, let me tell you. Glad you asked that. Because in John 6, all these people are following Jesus in the wilderness. And it's getting late, and they've been with him a while, and they don't have anything to eat. So Jesus asks one of his followers, say, hey, what are we going to do to feed all these people? Now it says, excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. It says that he asked him this to test him because he already knew what he intended to do. So Jesus asked this follower, say, hey, where are we going to get food? I think it was Philip, he asked. He says, hey, where are we going to get food to feed all these people? And Philip goes, my goodness, more than half a year's wages wouldn't be sufficient to feed all these people. So he responds like, I don't know. We don't have any resources. We can't possibly get enough to do it. You ever felt that way? Hey, just don't have the resources, don't have the ability, don't have the money, don't have the whatever. Don't have the resources. Well, they had this situation, and God puts this here for us. He says, hey, so his response was one of unbelief. But Jesus already knew what he was going to have the people sit down. People are at rest. And then there's one kid that had brought lunch. Only one kid thought to bring lunch out of all those thousands of people. And Jesus blesses it and breaks it and starts distributing it. And all 5,000 men plus women and children, they eat till they're full. And then there's 12 basketfuls, large baskets, it says, left over. One for each of the disciples, right? So here Jesus brings back this abundance. So what should Philip have said when Jesus said, hey, where are we going to do to feed these people? He shouldn't have said, oh, it's not possible. We can't possibly get enough money for that, because that's essentially what he said. What he should have said was, I don't know, but you're going to do it. I know you've got the answer. I know you're the king of abundance, and I know you are going to abundantly supply this lack. That's the right response for all of us. If you're in a lack today, a lot of us have had crazy situations come up this year. Personally, I've seen situations have been right at the end of things, just no idea what was going to happen, and we've seen God provide time and again, and he'll do it for you. He's not limited. To that question, where are you going to get enough, whatever it is you need, isn't a response of unbelief and going, oh, I don't know, year's wages wouldn't meet this. No, it's you're going to do it, Jesus. You're the abundant one. And we know that you care for us. And this is what you're going to do. You've taken away all our wrong already. You've made us your kids. You've made us heirs of this inheritance with you. And like he said, don't be afraid, little flock. It's the Father's good pleasure. He doesn't give grudgingly. It's his good pleasure to give you the kingdom. There's nothing he won't do for you. He just wants you to know, to be heart in trust, in faith, in his love, and to know, hey, Jesus took all the wrong of our unbelief and trying to do it on our own and doing the wrong things. He took all the consequences of that away when he died on the cross. And now it's his good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Stay in faith when the challenge comes. Resist the natural tendency to react to every new challenge in unbelief. That's our natural tendency. Resist it and say, nope, you've done it before, God. You're going to do it again. I'm trusting you. And here's what our prayer should be. In Psalm 130, verses 1 and 6 and 7, David says this. He says, out of the depths, I've cried to you, O Lord. Out of the depths. Maybe that's your situation listening to this. Maybe you feel like you're in the depths of some difficulty, the depths of something emotional, maybe financial, maybe mental, maybe physical. Out of the depths, I've cried to you, Lord. And then what does he say in verses 6 and 7? My soul waits for the Lord more than the watchman for the morning. Indeed, more than the watchman for the morning. O Israel, hope in the Lord. With the Lord there is loving kindness, and with him is abundant redemption. Abundance again. It's your inheritance. But when we find ourselves in that trial, our correct procedure is to look to him. Wait for the Lord more than the watchman for the morning. That watchman, he's been there all night through the darkest part of the night. He stood watch against the enemy, just waiting for the dawn to come so he can be relieved of his duty and so that he can see in the daylight again. He's waiting more than the watchman for the morning. That watchman longs for the morning. And I love to get up while it's still dark out and go for a walk and watch the sunrise. Some of you know that if you follow me on Facebook from the photos that I post most days. We watch for the morning. We wait for that sunrise. And when we see the light, there's joy, there's rejoicing. So that's what we need to do. For him, look to him, go, hey, I don't have the resources. I'm out of my life, but you've got resources and you're going to make it happen because you're the king of abundance who spoke abundance into existence. And anything, when you create abundantly. And I know you're going to do it for me. You've done it before. We've got it recorded in the scripture. We've got it in the history of so many people's lives all the way up to the present hour. And you're going to do it again. I'm looking to you more than the watchman for the dawn, because with you is loving kindness and with you is abundant redemption, which you've so clearly shown to us in Christ's work for us at the cross, and out of the love for us and the longing to bring us back to a kingdom of abundance because of how deeply he cares for us. Wow, these things are a blessing, and I know I'm trusting that as I speak these things, somebody out there needs this. And if it's you, I encourage you to look to him. Reach out to me if I can be of assistance. You can reach me at jeffbyrdcoaching.com. And Byrd is with a Y, Jeff at jeffbyrdcoaching.com. I would love to you. I'd love to build up your teams, do other like that. That's what I do for a living. I do this to minister to people and to benefit people. But I would love, if they're due, to help you look to him and to see this abundance, abundant loving kindness and abundant redemption and abundant provision. I've seen it in my own life in countless ways. And he's got it for you. Don't give up. Keep looking to him more than the watchman for the morning. I'm Jeff Byrd with Jeffrey Byrd Coaching. This has been a blessing for me, and I hope it has been for you. Please share it with somebody that needs it. And until next time, take care.